So from here forward is really kind of all about opening up your imagination. And so we could change the shape of the board. I'm not going to make a video on how to do that, but these tools here, Onshape has tutorials on how to do it, so you can make some pretty cool shapes. Then we can add a logo, and this kind of walks you through a little bit of that process. I am going to make a video on how to make the logo. And then more ideas is down here, so you could actually design your own skate park in Onshape. Do some other cool things here. I'll leave this for you to explore. But what I'm going to do is put my logo Schlegel Engineering on this skateboard here, and I'll walk you through how I did that step by step. So I want it to be centered in the skateboard right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a line here that I can pin my words to later. So I'm going to create a sketch on the surface of the skateboard. I'm going to make a line, and I'm going to have it be just a vertical line that I'll be able to sort of attach my words to in a moment. And so coming up here, I'm going to get a new sketch, again on the surface of the board, and I'm going to get the text tool. So we're going to get a little box here, and I'll put Schlegel. And I would put Schlegel Engineering, but I haven't found a way to make it do what I want it to do in terms of like being centered if I stack one word on top of the other. So I am going to do them separate. Now the other piece here is we can change the size of this with the measure tool from here to here. And I think I'll go with about 12 inches and see how that looks. That looks like it's going to fit pretty good. So I'll deselect the measure tool. Now I can still move this up and down, but I want, and I don't know why I can't move it side to side, so I want to look at the constraints, because the constraints are what's causing that. I've got this constraint right here, and I'm going to delete it. I need to just select that one. So with that constraint gone, now I can grab this, should be able to grab it and move it around. I'm still not able to do that. That's strange. Okay, so we are going to then use that line that I created. So I'm going to come up and say use, hit that line, and then we're going to grab our midpoint of my text and I'm going to snap it to that line. So now it's going to make the word Schlegel be able to move up and down on that line, but not side to side, and stay centered on the board. So I'm going to move this up just a little bit more so that the G hanging down there is right about at the midpoint of the board. Okay. And so there's that. Now what I want to do is I want to extrude this so that it stands up off of the board a little bit. So we're going to take this sketch right here, we're going to extrude it. And I'm going to have it come up about 0.25 inches and see how that looks. 0.15 inches is what I'll do and see how that looks. And so if I tip the board now, you can see the word Schlegel stands up off the board. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing with engineering, because this is Schlegel Engineering in the house. And so we are going to do a sketch on the surface of the board. Text again, engineering. And it's kind of hanging out way over there. We'll go ahead and pull it over here a little bit better. But we'll do the same thing we did before, where we'll take this midpoint and attach it to this line. So we'll get the use tool, use that line. Then we're going to take this guy and drop him right onto that. So it's going to put a constraint there for us that's going to make it so that we can move up and down, but we can't move side to side. So there we go. And we'll get our measure tool going. And we'll set that to be 12 inches. We'll see how it looks. It's a little bit small. 14. It's a little bit too big. It's going to be over the wheel holes. So 13. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to grab that sucker. Got to get off of the measure tool and move it up the line where I want it to be. And then we'll extrude it, make it 0.15 as well. And there we go. I think that's a pretty darn cool deck. So I'm going to take this deck, replace my other deck with it, and be back to show you my completed skateboard. Oh, and I guess I could change the color of this too, maybe. Let's try that. So extrude 10. Let's edit the appearance. Are we able to edit the appearance? Add appearance to feature. And we'll stick with our Joker theme here of the purple. And the same with engineering. There it is, Schlegel Engineering in the house. So, after a little bit of work, I still need to put the bolts in. I haven't done that. I'll be right back. There we go. Schlegel Engineering in the house. And so a couple things to take note. I did notice that this pin right here was a little bit too short. So I did go back to the deck and trucks and change this extrusion right here to be 1 inch instead of 0.75 so that the nut actually had something to grab onto, because when we made that bushing thicker, we needed to make that pin longer. The Onshape people neglected to include that detail. And so, as we've talked about, you can hit K to see all your fastening points, and you can hit K to hide them. That's going to be it for the Schlegel Engineering How to Make a Skateboard in Onshape video series.